Hello, friends. Welcome back to Spellhaven, a place where all are welcome. So let's sit down and learn D&D together. Tonight, in tonight's episode of Campaign Prep, coming back to the Unremembered Worlds campaign, the alternate setting of the Forgotten Realms, leading into our January session. It'll be starting sometime towards the end of January, so I'm just trying to more or less document my thought process going into this campaign, as I've never run a fully homebrewed campaign before. I've done little short adventures, written one-shots for my friends, and now we're getting into a fully homebrewed campaign. I think it'll be a lot of fun. I have enough under my belt now running published adventures that I think I know what I need and what I don't need. And I trust myself enough and my players enough that we can build this story together. And it could be more like an improvised dance than a choreography, if you know what I mean. Running a written adventure, it's not exactly railroading, but it does kind of feel like, okay, we're all going to agree to do what the book says. We'll go off the path sometimes, and we'll have to homebrew some stuff and write some content. But we're kind of agreeing what adventure we're telling, what story we're telling. And here, it's an open book. There's no plan other than I know I need to have at least the first like 3, maybe 4 sessions in mind. Beyond that, we'll see where it goes. I'm going to build it as we go along. As players go in directions, we'll start to build that part of the world. So tonight, I think it's going to be a little bit short tonight. I'm going to talk a little bit. I don't have a whole lot more to add tonight because it's been a lot of researching and thinking about what starting city I want to have the players start in. And so tonight, I've been kind of thinking about in between starting in Elturel or Daggerford. Those are my 2 choices. I'm going to pull up the D&D Beyond pages for Daggerford and for Elturel. What I really like about D&D Beyond, especially specifically the Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide, which I think, if you don't have it, this fantastic source right here. Sorry for the glare. There we go. Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide. I think for the most part that was marketed as a player book. I think as soon as and whenever you pick up any source book as a player, you want to go, all right, what are the new subclasses? What are the options that I have? What are the new spells? What are some racial options? I personally think this is more of a Dungeon Master's source book than anything. It's like they took the Forgotten Realms wiki, or honestly, they didn't take the wiki and parse it down. This is all player and fan made anyways. But they took whatever was the documented canon and lore and made it really palatable and easy to digest and quick to read through. Took away all the boring stuff like we don't need to know specific dates of the back history. We don't need to know super minutiae details. We want a quick 5-minute overview of what is this place like, what's the government, who's kind of the ruler, what are they about. That's what I really love about Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide. It's a fantastic resource. If you're running an adventure in the Forgotten Realms, highly recommend it. I think it's the best one that they put out for a setting. I can't comment on Tal'Dorei Reborn, even because that's now part of Wizards of the Coast. But as far as campaign settings go, if you want to run in the Forgotten Realms, this is 100% worth the money. And I can say that about not a whole lot of Wizards of the Coast products. Not very many of them get my 100% full endorsement. This one does for sure. But if you look at Daggerford, it's sort of this pastoral haven, this sprawling hills. It's a great place to live. It's a small town if we look at the map. This map also, by the way, is in Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide. I've just zoomed in way in on it so we could see what we're looking at. Daggerford, located right here sort of on the coast, very close to the coast, just southeast of Waterdeep. Waterdeep's a place I am somewhat familiar with. I did a lot of research for that when we ran our Storm King's Thunder campaign. It's right on a main pathway, a main road. Along the Dilimbir River, I'm probably butchering that name, close to the High Forest, which I don't really know much about, and close to some other things as well, which I really don't know anything about this area besides what I know of Waterdeep. Um, the main reason that I'm sort of not thinking that it's Daggerford I want to start in is because it's more of a farming town than anything. It's a smaller settlement that kind of aspires to be greater, and it's this nice place for people to go and sort of get away. It's not really high magic. It's not kind of the area that I'm imagining would be a good place to start. The other possibility that I was entertaining was Elturel, specifically this whole kingdom of Elturgard, which would go further south to right here. I'll zoom out so we can get an idea. Maybe that's too far. Just proximity wise, we can see where we're talking about. Elturgard, right down in here. Hopefully you can see my mouse. So a lot further south than, say, Waterdeep and Neverwinter. Definitely a lot further south than what we were doing in Frostmaiden, which was the spine of the world, way the heck up here. But Elturgard, let's zoom in more so we can see. Not a coastal area. Elturgard is this realm of, I think, 5 different cities. But capital, the main city being Elturel. Right along the river here, the River Kyanthar, or Chyanthar, however you pronounce it. In my campaign, we're calling it Kyanthar because I'm the DM, and that's what we're calling it. Close-ish in proximity, probably within a couple of days, maybe a week's worth of travel. If they do want to go to Baldur's Gate, I don't really want to run a Baldur's Gate campaign, but it's a possibility they could go to. And obviously, we know a fair bit about Baldur's Gate at this point, having played through the recent Baldur's Gate game. Also close to some smaller wooded areas. I scrolled too far. Close to some smaller wooded areas and some other cities that I would need to research. That could be interesting because I've never explored them. But the main reason that I like Elturel as a starting location, again, if you look at the Wikipedia for Elturel, what I want to do when I start this campaign, I know I'm running a homebrew campaign, but I want to start with as much established lore as I can, just as points of inspiration, things to pull from, ideas to pull from. I don't want to run a city where there's really not a whole lot of information, and then I have to invent a lot of things. The less work up front that I have to do, the better. I want to do the job of expanding and developing little nuances. But if we look at the Wikipedia here, obviously there's a ton of stuff. I'll probably read through this, but in terms of campaign prep and in terms of a campaign prep video, this isn't really going to cut it. This is way too much to read through in one night. This will be something that I browse through over a few days. And a lot of this probably doesn't even matter because it's a lot of history of Elturel. And that's just Elturel, not even the whole region of Elturgard. So if we look at the Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide entry for Elturel and Elturgard, it's way more palatable. It's a lot easier to get through. I read this in about 5 minutes and got a pretty good idea of why it's called Elturgard, a little bit of the history. It seems like a pretty good starting location. So I'm probably running with Elturel. To summarize what I was able to learn in the last 5 minutes or so of reading this section, Elturgard, sometimes called the Kingdom of Two Suns. Reason being is in the very beginning, it was just Elturel. And I apologize if anybody is an expert on the Elturel lore that I'm about to butcher. This is just my 5th grade summarize the paragraph you just read sort of report on it. So way back in the day, Elturel was just Elturel. They were ruled by a group called the Hell Riders, named such because they actually went into the Hells to defeat some demons that were plaguing Elturel. Come to find out, the leader of the Hell Riders, I think the title is the High Rider, revealed himself to be a vampire and had all these throngs and minions in a bunch of different regions, and it was really looking bad for Elturel and the surrounding cities. Until one day there appeared and came down this mysterious orb, like a miniature sun, casting light over Elturel and basically defeating this vampire horde, as undead cannot survive in sunlight. And that sphere, that little miniature sun, has remained since then. They called it the Companion, and a bunch of people kind of came and paid homage to this companion, such that an organized force was formed called the Companions. So now there are two sets of guards of Elturgard, the Companions and the Hellriders, still in existence. But the cool thing about this, because there is this second sun, they do have like a natural sort of sunrise sunset, but there's this always on sunlight for about a 50-mile radius around Elturel, which is kind of a neat little extra thing. Which means they might not have the same amount of nighttime crime that ordinary big cities would have because they have daylight. That's kind of always there. And additionally, with the companions, and the Hellriders, there was, I think this is established by the companions, this I guess creed, I guess you could say. It's called the Creed Resolute, a set of oaths, if you will, which basically said we're going to put the greater good above all. We will lay down our life to defend Elturel and its surrounding cities. We're not going to let differences in religion get between us, and we're going to agree not to ascribe this divine orb to any one particular deity. So that's sort of the summary of the Creed Resolute, which means they've got a pretty strong force to keep business as usual in the Elturgard region. Good thing, because if we continue reading in the Elturel information, I don't remember where I read this. I think here it is in this paragraph. It references this idea of threats from all around. The wilderness to the south, home to ravenous monsters. Let's take a look at the region to the south. Could be referencing like the Wood of Sharp Teeth. Could be some cool, crazy stuff in there. And this actually would work well, having a couple of different wooded areas in the surrounding regions, because of this idea of all these weird anomalies that I wanted to explore, as I mentioned in the first video. Additionally, the green fields, another region I know nothing about. The Snakewood sounds super creepy. So yeah, the Troll Mountains, another place where there could be threats. Additionally, is if we keep on reading here, the Serpent Kingdom of Nahara, or Najara, I'm going to say Nahara, that looks correct, to the north routinely sends agents, both raiders and spies, to test the strength of Elturgard. And I read through this. There are I think this is mentioned in the Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide. I don't remember where, but it's in here. It covers Nahara, Nagas, and I think genies and some other things. Maybe I have that mixed up with something. Nahara is this region here, far to the north. So it looks like they're sending agents a pretty good distance south, just to test Elturgard's defenses. So that additionally is more possible adventures for the party in the early game. So knowing that I needed to update my Session 0 questions to be a little more specific, I'm going to be sending these out either tonight or tomorrow, just to give my players, the next month or so to think about them. And then we can meet before we actually have our campaign to have our one-on-one Session 0s. So instead of this connection to the court or the clergy, the local wizard, we need to change this to, what is your connection to the companions or Hellriders? What is your connection to? Was there mention? I think there was mention somewhere in here about what god it's normally ascribed to, this companion. There was another title for the leader of the companions too, but I don't remember where I saw it. The High Observer is what it's called. Let me put this in my notes. Let me go back. Creed Resolute. The High Observer. go back to session 0 questions. The clergy. The high observer. And then there was I think there was mention about who they normally ascribe this to. Was it the Morning Lord? This I don't remember, but I think that's what it was. No, maybe not that. I don't quite remember. So let's put this in my notes. The High Observer. Actually, this is going to be... That's part of the first question. Morning Lord or your own personal deity. And then I need to come up with who is the court wizard. I think the other questions kind of remain the same. Somebody know in the starting town. Somebody know in Elturel. What motivates your character the most? What item trinket? What god or gods they worship? So I'm going to be sending this off fairly soon. Like I said, tonight, maybe tomorrow. What next? So I think as far as my next to do here, pick starting town is done. Let's do research, further research on Elturel, and let's put a link here. And what else? Begin to outline starting combat. Come up with at least 3 early side quests. I like the idea. We kind of did this in Rime and the Frost Maiden, and it's a concept that I'm seeing a lot more in WotC Adventures. Specifically, I remember seeing this begin with the updated starter set, not the Dragon of Storm Peak Isle or whatever the recent one is, but or maybe that was the one. I don't remember. Not the most recent starter set, but the one prior to that. They use this idea of a job board, where basically characters are offered 3 quests. They pick one, and whenever they decide to not take a quest more than once, that one's removed, and they get different quests kind of sort of cycle in and out. So I need to come up with at least 3 early side quests, so that they have some options, and I have something more than just the first starting conflict, which is going to have to do with I mentioned this in the first video, the incarnates, and the fact that Elturel was digging into this arcane gem mine relating to the incarnates. And so I think where we're going to place that, maybe that'll be on my to-do list as well. I need to come up with where is the incarnate gem mine, and then also where is the ghost in the lighthouse. The lighthouse. Boy. Words. And then also side point. Does this relate to the incarnates? So my possibilities for those, it needs to be close to Elturel. And it very well could just be somewhere in this hill that sort of overlooks the River Cainthar. Or maybe somewhere out in the middle. In my mind, this it might not work here, actually. Maybe it's not a lighthouse. Maybe it's more of like a lookout tower. You're not going to have a lighthouse that's trying to, get a view of the river. So maybe it's that. Maybe it's more of like a lookout post. Or maybe it was just a lighthouse that was moved. Maybe the character liked the aesthetic of a lighthouse and wanted to have one built there. I don't know. We'll see. So it very well could go here. Now, as far as the Incarnate's gem mine, I think that also, in my mind, I think that's also going to be sort of in the same location. So maybe it's somewhere just northeast of Elturel, but close enough to the river that you still get a good view. So maybe it's up on this hill here. We'll figure that out. And then we need to figure out so let's put this as well. This is also a to-do list. And I'm not going to do this on a video because no one wants to watch somebody read. I'm pretty sure. I don't think you want to watch me read. Research. Wood of sharp teeth and the reaching woods. Which of these works best for the forest anomaly? Anything else I want to put on my to-do list? I still have some time, although I know I'm probably going to be a little bit busier towards the end of the month because it's the holidays. And also, I don't want to be finishing this mid-January. I want to have this all done probably and ready to go probably by like end of the first week of January so that I can really focus the remaining time on these session zeros. So, oh, what else? We'll put this on the to-do list too. Find a good map of Elturel. Find a good and workable map. We'll say both overhead. Oops. Overhead view, top-down view. For character exploration and yeah, I know what I'm talking about. Basically a map that you can look at that's top down. You can see points of interest and all that. And I want to get maybe a first person view for, what are we calling this? For use as a card. Basically, I use Roll20 for my VTT, and I find it very helpful, especially running games online where it's very easy to be distracted. I recognize that, and I got to do whatever I can to engage the senses in as many ways as possible. So in addition to, we all have webcams, we all have microphones. I play music during my sessions. I address characters by name. And in addition, I find it sometimes really helpful just to have a picture of something that represents the area that we're in, just to engage the senses even further. The more things that I can do to hold on to someone's attention, the better. I don't try to, I'm not going to punish somebody for being on their phone or for opening, a different tab in the middle of a game. That's just the nature of playing online. I get it. It's hard to pay attention. I'm the same way. If I'm playing online with friends, we're playing, any sort of VTT related game, D&D, this even was the case when I was playing Gloomhaven with some friends. If someone's not playing music, I'll pull up a YouTube playlist just to have something on to keep me more engaged, because I know how it is, and I know it's really difficult to just look at one thing and to do this one thing. So we're not sitting around a table with friends, we're sitting at a screen. So anything that I can do to keep the attention, the better off I'm going to be. So I need to find a picture that I can use as a card, basically something to display to my players so that they can go, okay, this makes me feel like we're in a city that represents Elturel. I think that's going to do it for now. I have a lot of work to do in the next week. But friends, thanks for watching and making it to the end. We're about half an hour in. If you found this useful and fun, please feel free to share it, like it, let people know. And stay tuned for more non-campaign prep related stuff. I have something in the works. I think I'm going to make another take of it because I wasn't totally satisfied. Anyways, thank you for watching. This has been Spellhaven, a place where all are welcome. and so we can sit down and learn to play and run D&D together. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.